handbrake is on. We're still waiting on bits and pieces. We're still waiting on parts. And I'm thinking with this time, we could spend it on a project that I'm going to use quite a bit, well, hopefully I am going to use. And it's all to do with this hanging monstrosity right here. This right here is not the recommended use for working on your trailer or any equipment for that matter. It's better to have them on jack stands or something like that, or not hang them from a front loader, especially when you're going to be underneath it. But we'll pray to dear God that we've been keeping up to maintenance with the front loader and it's not going to break on me. But this right here, this is an 8x4 high-sided trailer. And it's an unbrake trailer, it's super simple. It's got the checker plate inside. Nothing fancy about it, right? It's just a basic trailer. Now, there's a couple of reasons why we've purchased this. One reason is I want a trailer to transport my bikes around in. And I'm hoping that this is just large enough so we can fit 2 bikes in there. Now, I don't think we're going to be able to fit 2 road bikes side by side. I think it might be a bit squishy with the flaring, but 2 dirt bikes, I think they'll fit. And the reason we've went down this line, instead of going with a bespoke bike trailer, is I can't justify just having a bespoke bike trailer. Even if the registration is pretty cheap on them, it seems a waste. It's just going to sit here and rust. Whereas this has got another purpose, which is to also use it to go camping. At the moment, if I take any more than 1 person when I go camping, or I have any additional gear for longer trips, the car's like fully loaded. It's chock-a-block, especially with what we've kitted out in the back. I can't take the Pajero Sport with more people. And that's what this is. I want to go longer and I want to go with more people when I go camping. And this is why we got the high side, so we can fit more luggage, more fuel, just everything in there. And on top of that, we're going to add a lid to it. And this is the main thing I'm most excited to it. We're going to add a lid that can open up, and on that lid is going to be that extra little bit of comfort to take it just on those longer trips, on those longer camping trips. It's just going to make it that little bit nicer. We're going to add a rooftop tent onto the top of it, because I think, yes, the swag's fantastic. I love my swag. It's super comfortable. But longer trips, and especially when you're a lot more mobile and how much of a faff setting up and unsetting is, having a rooftop tent is just going to be otherworldly on here. Now, there's a few things we want to do to make this trailer a bit more suitable for both camping and for the bikes. One is improving this. There isn't a lot of clearance there. So we're going to do perhaps one of the easiest modifications I've ever done to any vehicle or chassis or anything like that to raise it. We're going to pull the axle out and put it underneath the leaf springs rather on top of them. So that should be pretty straightforward. Once that is done, we'll lower it back down and we'll start welding up the frame to use the rooftop tent, which is going to be quite complicated, but we'll run you through it when we get to it. First, let's remove these wheels. We just admire how beautifully level I've made this and how easy it's going to be to work on because of the front loader, even if it's not the safest.
Sketchiness aside, I need to be honest with you because much like Darth Vader, I lied. This isn't an 8x4 trailer, but a 7-foot by 4-foot trailer, which I purchased just like all good things secondhand. And it is unbraked, meaning not only does it not have a parking brake, but it is also only weighted to hold 750 kilos, which includes its already 320 kilo dry weight. That means we have only got 430 kilos to play with, which ultimately isn't a lot, and we will need to be careful with how much weight we put into this lid. That all being said, it isn't too difficult to upgrade the axle and springs to improve its GVM. Though I'd much rather avoid that because it is currently sprung perfectly for a couple 100 kilos, aka 2 dirt bikes in its tub. Either way, I suppose we'll see how we go with this project, which I'm ultimately using to further practice my welding and try out some basic fabrication.
Oh, right, let's center it and do it up. Now that we've stuffed up my trailer's geometry, let's lower it down and see how it looks. Yeah, that's better. Oh, look at all the extra clearance we've got. It's way better. Hell yeah. Now, the beauty with this whole project is that not only do we get to practice our welding some more, but we don't have to worry about things being square or flat, or at least not as much as we used to, purely because we're using this trailer as the base and we're building everything off that. So if it's out of whack, it's because the trailer's out of whack. And it's not going to matter because it doesn't have to go on anything else. It's just made for this trailer. All right, so what I've done is I've cut up some angle iron. So what's going to happen is we're going to have this frame, this sort of roof rack system that's going to slot in on top. I'm going to add some seals and everything once we get this either spray painted or powder coated. I haven't decided yet what I want to do with it, but it's going to slot in as it is. We'll have some little tie down straps so we can lock it in place so it's not going to move. And then what we can do is have the roof rack and everything on it. And then the key thing here is I want to build another assembly, another frame, and this is the whole reason we're building it the way we are, is because I want it to open. So I want to be able to lift it up on this side. It's going to pivot on that edge there, pivot open, and we'll be able to access inside of here. Now that's going to be messing with a few new things that I've never done before. I'm going to have to weld on some hinges. I'm going to have to use some gas struts, which I've never fiddled with before. And I'll be honest, I can't quite, like the gas struts confuse me a little bit because I can't imagine them in my head. Like I've never used them, so I don't know. I don't know how to lay them out. I can't visualize it. So hopefully we learn that. But for now, what we're gonna do is we'll tack weld this. We won't seam weld it just yet. We'll just make sure it all works. And then we'll look at building the frame, what is gonna sit on top of this and pivot open. The big thing, no, let's just do it. Let's just build the frame as it is. Yeah. Changed my mind. This needs to be strong in order for me to test it. The other one we can tack weld. So we're going to seam weld this. Yes, that's what we're going to do. We're going to seam weld. All right, change blade. Not bad for a first weld.
It feels good to not be working on a troublesome car I don't understand how it works. And to be actually building and problem solving rather than merely searching and replacing. But that's not to say I'm any good at this.
I would like everyone to meet Gerald, the silver millipede. I tried to, because it's thinner metal and it wasn't a very big gap to fill because I didn't groove it, or I didn't widen it enough. I tried to go quick and that meant a lot of metal at the top there. A very thin line.
Which I think is most apparent in my design for this door. I'll be honest, I do not completely understand why I felt the need to have this angle iron sleeve, especially when I could have welded door hinges directly onto the trailer that the door could have just slipped out of.
Something about grinder and paint welder, I'm not, something like that.
I weirdly approached this as a car, trying to keep the trailer stock and only attaching or drilling holes that could be easily repaired. Not 100% sure why I went about it that way, but nevertheless, we are here. Now, originally I did plan to have fork tong pockets for the front loader to be easily able to pick this contraption up. However, I couldn't find box section that was large enough and wasn't excessively thick.
How good am I? Look at that. Alright, now we're just going to make them all flat. Then we weld them together and we'll have to figure out what we're doing in the middle floor support.
So given how easy it was to hoist the trailer up with some straps, I decided I would steer away from this palletized design for a lighter and sleeker approach, which ultimately was the goal: lightness and keeping the center of gravity lower. And that leads into why I've used fence posts to make this door. They seem the perfect compromise between rigidity and lightness. Though aluminum may have been better, I have yet to learn how to weld alloy.
That grinding off the galv produces a nicer weld. Who would have thought that, you know, having contaminants in your welding would be bad? Obviously not me. I didn't really consider it until afterwards. We've finished this frame. This frame's nice and sturdy now. We've got the frame underneath. That's all pretty strong as well. That one flexes, but it's not going to matter because it's going to be compressed all the time anyway. This one doesn't flex. This one is nice and strong. Now, I haven't figured out 100% how we're going to do all of this. What we've got right here is some hinges. Now, originally I was just going to weld on some hinges, but given that we're using such thin steel, I don't think that's the wisest idea in the world. I could just load it up with weld and probably bring it out and maybe thicken it up, but I don't know, I just didn't think it was very smart. So I've bought some other hinges that we could always chop off to weld onto if need be, but I'm sort of umming and ahhing how we do it, and I think we're going to change the design a little bit. So originally I was just going to leave a little bit of a space around here just so I can put some sort of rubber or something that will go all the way around so it can just help seal it. I'm thinking of still doing that, except instead of it just being a perfectly flush, I'll still do this trim around, and then we'll have some hinges, 3 along, scattered underneath it. And then just because this is going to stick up and it's going to force that to compress down more, I'll probably put a little stopper or something on that side, just a little spacer so it sits a bit better. I don't know how much that makes sense. It will make sense when I start doing it. And then we can look at it and realise how many things I could have done better and improved upon. Anyway, I think this is the way to go. I think we stick some hinges in like that. We'll probably weld this one to the frame and then maybe... Right, all right. Well, I think... We can't weld. The next step is actually securing the lower piece of angle iron insert so that when we go to open this, it doesn't all just fall out. So let's secure it. Now for securing our little angle iron insert into the trailer, I've gotten some of these bad boys. Yeah, how good are they? So I'm hoping I could just go like that, and I'm thinking, you know, a couple on each side, it should be plenty strong enough to hold it all down. I bought 4, I might get 2 more and do 6, because I think given how much wind's going underneath the trailer, it would be worthwhile having more than less. But for now, let's install the 4 that we've got. And I think just like that will be perfect. We'll see.
1, 2, 3, 4.
That's like 10 is a bit strong. I could hit it with a hammer. Well, it wasn't on the good. It wasn't very strong. Though it doesn't really look it, we have made some good progress and done some good things. So, first of all, the lower insert, the frame that's in the bottom here, the bit of angle iron that we've all welded together, that is now in here good. 3 of them on each side, it's in there pretty damn good. I've also tack welded, I haven't actually full on seam welded in, the mounts for these gas struts. Now, I don't know if this is gonna be the right idea to put them here and everything like that. So hence why we've tack welded them in. I've also drilled in quite a few different holes, so we've got some options on where we can put the gas strut once it's in there, and we obviously need to put the mounting plate up here as well somewhere too. So that's probably gonna go maybe about here, just past center. That's all well and good. Now, with that done, we can now look at putting in the hinges, which is what I'm really looking forward to.
Had I had my time again, I would have done the hinges differently, because right now, if everything's hooked up to the car and I brake hard enough, the door could slide forward.
What do I reckon is the best way to go about this?
Which is an easy enough problem to fix with some safety pins or some form of a retainer, but it does add some unnecessary complexity. But with the hinge sleeves tacked onto the angle line insert and the hinge pins marked out on the lid, we can learn from our mistakes.
I should have. Gotta grind it down, don't I?
Grind away the galv before we tack on the hinge pins and officially open this door for the first time.
How good is this? I've made a door on its side. That's all I've done. That is fantastic. That is so good. Right. So now we're going to figure out where we mount you. Of course it's going to be determined by the length of that, so we're going to be at least that away. I got some thinking to do. Alright, everything's beefed up. I hope it works. Oh, bloody hell. Oh, I think these struts are going to be almost too strong. Oh, dude, it works though. That is sick. Oh, that is so sick. Oh man, that is actually so good. That is so good. I burnt a clamp, but worth it. What we want is that. Now, the problem we've got
is that these hold downs don't fit in this orientation thanks to the lip of the trailer sticking out that little bit just too far. But we can fix this with just spinning them around, and with them bolted down, they are plenty secure to hold our door closed.
Mad! I'm gonna have a bit of issues when I put the seal around it because there's not a lot of gap there, but oh no, there's still room. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
With that now sorted, we can work on enclosing the trailer with this galv sheet.
Right. That was a bit dark. Oh, I still might be able to make it work.
Now with this trailer being 7 feet by 4 feet, I thought a full sheet of steel would be perfect as it would cover the whole trailer.
Thinking this was going to go right to the edge, but obviously it doesn't. It looks like there's enough of an overhang to where we can get away with it. So, fingers crossed. But, yeah, that was a bit of a blunder on my behalf.
Unfortunately, I didn't consider that those dimensions are of the trailer's bed, the internal dimensions, meaning our sheet of steel is not going to go right to the edges of our frame.
Yeah.
Though I do still think we can get away with it. So using a bottle of coolant to try and help stretch the metal taut, I riveted it in place.
little precarious. Oh, Ollie. I didn't even think of that. That's a bit of a pain in the ass. I did not even consider. Bugger. Everything else looks fantastic, other than those things. I forgot that this sticks out wider than the actual trailer, and yeah, it's fouling. But it looks good, doesn't it? Look at it. And it's going to open, and we're going to be able to access it. It's going to work great when it's finished. That can be it's simple enough fix. We'll just spin them around. That's the later problem. Dude! How good is that? How good is that? That is so good. Oh my God. I need a handle, but God, that is great. And I can reach in, grab whatever I need. I got all this access. Everything's secure. It's not moving. It's not wobbling. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. That is so sick, man. That is the sickest. And it wasn't even that hard to get on here, and it will get easier when I can pick it up and sleeve it in. This I had to line up the bolts to obviously get it in, but it will be easy once it's fully assembled and I can just pull it out. Just wrap a couple ropes over these roof racks here and then just pull it out. How good, how freaking good. Now there is a few things we still need to figure out. I would like a handle, as mentioned, and there's a few welds around here that I need to finish up, and I need to figure out a better way to secure the rooftop tent. At the moment, the bolts are too long, so I couldn't put a nut all the way through it without doing something special. So I might have to cut the bolt, or I might figure out another way to secure it. I'm not too sure, though. It's pretty happy at the moment, so I don't think I need to go anything fancier. We've also flipped our tie downs around so they actually fit and it works. Everything's lockable, everything's sealed. It's not sealed well, but we'll seal it as time goes on. I'm genuinely quite impressed too, quietly, I should say, impressed with how well this looks. I think it just looks nice and neat and just clean and polished and finished. I'm impressed with myself. Can I say that? Can I gloat? Other than the weird design, It's odd how I've went about it this way, but nevertheless, it's great. And I'm really, really happy with these. I'm just elated, man. Can you see I'm not even staying on track with anything? I'm happy with these gas struts. Like, they're strong enough to where they probably could have went inboard, like closer to the hinge where they normally do on cabinets and stuff like that. Though I imagine here is going to be pretty all right to where we can put more weight on the roof, like kayaks or something like that, and not have any dramas. But this is sick. This is honestly sick. I'm so chuffed. The only real drama is this took longer, and it's still not 100% finished, but this took longer than I was expecting. This was my full weekend right here. 2 full days, pretty long days, of just messing with this. And it's not because anything was hard or difficult. I didn't want to rush myself too much, and I just wanted to figure it out and get it done and work through it. And that took me 2 full days of doing this. I honestly thought it was going to be 1 day of doing this door, and then the rest we'll be doing jerry can holders and motorbike things and toolboxes here. But no. So we still have work to do. I still got to figure out if we're going to paint this, powder coat it. Given all the extra bits we're going to add to it, it just might be better to powder coat it. It might just last that bit longer, but I don't think it's going to be very cheap because these are rather large and wieldy pieces. I also don't know what's the best way to go about this. I was thinking that it would be better to get it painted first and then add a bead of silicone all the way around it. I don't really know. We'll see what it looks like. And then also it might be worth trying to find some, I don't know what you call them, maybe like a hydraulic dampener or something like that, or like a shock absorber. So when this does come down, you'll listen to this last bit. It slams quite hard, but the gas struts no longer have strength to hold it up anymore. It would be nice to have some sort of dampener or something there so it doesn't just slam and squash the rubber seals that we're going to add on there. But other than that, man, dude, I'm chuffed. I'm so glad, and I'm so keen to use it. And they're like, the tent just works. Like, it's not an unreasonable height. It's just good. It's just so cool. I haven't checked actually if we can open it with that. This might be a bad idea. There was something in the tent. But it's fine. Dude. All right, we'll come back to it once we've got a bit more time and we can fiddle with it some more. Is improving this. There is a lot of clearance there. That is the opposite of what I meant to say. There isn't a lot of clearance there. So, I reckon, say you and your bloody ball. Yes. That sucks. That really sucks. Damn it, we were so close! So close. Minor design fault. So here's what I'm thinking. I can sleep up there. Brother can sleep in there. I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good plan.